The dust from the transport vehicle had barely settled when Owen climbed down from the passenger seat. His father David followed close behind, carrying 2 heavy containers of grain samples they needed to trade. The boy adjusted the small backpack on his shoulders and felt the familiar weight shift inside. A low grunt came from within the pack, and Owen smiled. Redstone Colony's trading post buzzed with activity. Dozens of species moved between the stalls and shipping platforms. The air smelled like metal and exotic spices Owen could not name. He had been here many times before, but the variety of alien traders still amazed him. Tall ones, short ones, ones with fur and ones with scales. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. "Stay close," David said, though he knew his son always did. They made their way through the crowd toward the agricultural exchange booth. Owen kept his eyes moving, watching everything. A group of purple-skinned merchants argued over container weights. A pair of floating jellyfish creatures drifted past, speaking in musical tones. Near the entrance, a massive alien stood speaking loudly to anyone who would listen. The creature was nearly 3 meters tall. Thick gray armor covered its body in overlapping plates. 4 arms gestured as it spoke. Its head resembled a hammerhead shark, with eyes on either side that seemed to look in multiple directions at once. Owen recognized the species from his father's lessons. Horvathi, warrior race, proud, dangerous. "These humans," the Horvathi boomed. "They claim to be colonists, but look at them, small, weak, soft skin with no natural protection." Several aliens nearby had stopped to listen. Some nodded in agreement. Others simply watched. David squeezed Owen's shoulder gently. "Ignore him. We have business to conduct." They walked past the Horvathi, who continued his speech. Owen heard every word but kept moving. His backpack shifted again, and this time a small black and white snout poked out from the opening. 2 bright eyes looked around with interest. "Not yet, Scrapper," Owen whispered. The snout disappeared back into the pack. The agricultural booth was run by a pinnath named Grell, a species that looked like upright turtles with long, flexible necks. Grell knew David well and greeted them warmly. "David, and young Owen. Good to see you both. What do you have for me today?" David placed the containers on the counter and began discussing grain quality and prices. Owen stood beside him, listening but also watching the crowd. The Horvathi had moved closer. His voice grew louder. "I have seen their colonies, children running around without guards. No weapons training, no combat conditioning. On my world, younglings half that age can defeat predators with their bare hands." Owen felt his backpack move more insistently. Scrapper sensed his tension. The Horvathi noticed Owen staring at him. The massive alien stepped forward, his forearms crossing over his chest. "You there? Human child?" "Yes, you." Owen turned to face him fully. The alien towered over him like a building. "What is your name, small one?" "Owen, Owen." The Horvathi repeated it like it was a joke. "I am Braltok, son of Warlord Krathnak. On my world, children your size serve as messengers because they are too weak for real work. Tell me, Owen, what use are you to your colony? What can such a small, soft creature contribute?" David stepped between them. "My son contributes plenty. Now, if you will excuse us, we have business to finish." Braltok laughed. The sound was like rocks grinding together. Of course. The adult human defends his weak offspring, as it should be. But tell me, how do humans expect to survive in this galaxy when even your children are helpless? Several aliens had gathered to watch. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed curious how this would end. Owen felt Scrapper moving more urgently now. The backpack's zipper started to slide open from the inside. "I am not helpless," Owen said quietly. Braltok leaned down, bringing his hammer-shaped head closer to Owen's level. "No? Then perhaps you would like to demonstrate your strength? Come push against my hand. Show these gathered beings that humans are not as weak as they appear." "That is not necessary," David said firmly. "I insist." Braltok extended one of his massive hands, palm out. "Just a simple test." The child pushes. I remained still. "We see if humans have any strength at all." Owen looked at his father, who shook his head. But Braltok was not finished. "Unless, of course, the human child is afraid. Perhaps your species knows its limitations?" Owen's jaw tightened. He started to step forward. But before he could move, Braltok's hand shot out and shoved Owen's shoulder. Not hard enough to hurt, but enough to make him stumble back several steps, as I thought. "Weak and—" The Horvathi never finished his sentence. Scrapper exploded from the backpack in a blur of black and white fur. The honey badger hit the ground running and launched itself at Braltalk's nearest leg. Its jaws clamped onto the softer joint section between armor plates. The Horvathi's eyes went wide with shock. What is this creature? Braltalk tried to shake his leg, but Scrapper held on with the grip of a vice. The honey badger's claws dug into the alien's leg, finding purchase in the gaps of his armor. Braltalk reached down with two of his hands to pull the animal off. Scrapper released the leg only to immediately latch onto one of the reaching hands, teeth sinking into the thick gray flesh. The massive warrior roared in pain and anger. He swung his arm violently, but Scrapper simply hung on, growling with a fury that seemed impossible from such a small animal. Get it off. Get this beast off me! Owen stepped forward calmly. Scrapper, enough. The honey badger immediately released and dropped to the ground. It positioned itself between Owen and Braltalk, body low, teeth bared, ready to attack again at any moment. Blood dripped from Braltalk's hand and leg. The crowd had grown larger. Everyone stared in stunned silence. Owen picked up his backpack and held it open. Scrapper glanced back at the Horvathi one more time, then climbed into the pack and settled inside. Only its snout remained visible. You pushed me first, Owen said simply. Scrapper does not like that. Braltalk clutched his injured hand, his expression a mixture of pain and disbelief. David stood beside his son, one hand on Owen's shoulder. Grell the Pinnith spoke into the silence. Perhaps we should all remember that humans do not come from a gentle world. Owen adjusted his backpack and turned back to the agricultural booth. Behind him, Braltalk stared at his wounds, finally understanding that he had made a terrible mistake. The small human child was not defenseless at all. 3 station security officers arrived within minutes. They wore standard protective gear and carried stun weapons. The lead officer, a thin reptilian species called a salthex, surveyed the scene with quick eye movements. What happened here? Multiple voices started speaking at once. The security officer raised one clawed hand for silence. He looked at the blood on the ground, then at Braltalk's injured hand and leg. You. He pointed at the Horvathi. Explain. That human's creature attacked me without provocation. It is a wild beast and must be destroyed immediately for public safety. That is not what happened, Grell said from behind his booth. I saw everything. The Horvathi initiated physical contact with the human child. The animal only defended its companion. Several other witnesses nodded and spoke in agreement. The security officer tapped a device on his wrist. Station cameras will show us the truth. Wait here. Braltalk's expression darkened, but he said nothing. Owen stood quietly with his father, one hand resting on his backpack where Scrapper remained alert but calm. The security officer reviewed the footage on his device. His eyes narrowed. He turned the screen toward Braltalk. The cameras confirm multiple witness accounts. You shoved the human child first. The animal responded to defend its companion. No violation of station regulations has occurred. Regulations? Braltalk's voice rose. That thing nearly took my hand off. Perhaps you should not have touched the child, the officer replied coolly. You are a trained warrior from a species known for combat prowess. He is a 10-year-old from a colony farming family. You initiated physical contact in what could be interpreted as a threatening manner. More aliens had gathered now. Some held recording devices, capturing everything. Owen noticed several transmitting signals, probably broadcasting to other systems. His father had explained how fast news traveled through the galactic network. One alien stepped forward from the crowd. It looked like a giant praying mantis, nearly as tall as Braltalk, but much thinner. Its compound eyes focused on Owen and Scrapper. Excuse me, I am Quillen, xenobiologist from the University of New Ceres. May I ask what species that animal is? David answered. It is called a honey badger. From Earth. Fascinating. I have studied Earth fauna databases, but this species was not marked as commonly domesticated. Most Earth animals exported off-world are companion species like dogs or cats. Scrapper is not really domesticated, Owen said. He is just my friend. Quillen's head tilted in what might have been curiosity. How did you acquire a friendship with such a creature? Owen glanced at his father, who nodded permission to tell the story. The boy sat down on a nearby crate. Scrapper climbed out of the backpack and sat beside him, watchful eyes scanning the crowd. It was 6 months ago, Owen began. We were surveying the Northern Territory for new farmland. The terrain there is rough. Lots of rocks and caves. We heard sounds coming from a cave entrance. Small sounds, crying. David picked up the story. I wanted to keep moving, but Owen insisted we investigate. We found a honey badger kit, maybe 4 weeks old. Its mother was dead nearby, probably from one of the local predators. I wanted to help, Owen said simply. Dad said honey badgers were dangerous even as babies, but it was alone and scared. So I sat near the cave entrance for 3 hours, just sitting, not moving, not touching. Eventually the kit came to me. Quillen's antennae twitched with interest. You earned its trust through patience. Yes. It took weeks before Scrapper would let me touch him. More weeks before he would eat from my hand. My dad taught me that earth animals respect patience and calmness more than force. Remarkable. Quillen produced a recording device. Would you mind if I documented this for research purposes? I do mind, Braltok interrupted. This conversation ignores the fact that I have been injured by a dangerous animal. I demand compensation. The security officer looked at him without sympathy. You demanded nothing be done when you shoved a child. The animal's response was proportional self-defense. If you wish to file a formal complaint, you may do so at the administrative office. However, given the camera evidence, I do not recommend it. Then I will handle this myself. Braltok straightened to his full height despite his injuries. I invoke the right of challenge. My combat beast against this honey badger. We will settle this the proper way, the crowd murmured. David stepped forward. That is absurd. Scrapper is not a fighting animal. He seems quite capable of fighting to me. Braltok gestured at his wounds. The challenge is traditional among many species. My honor has been damaged. This is how it will be restored. The security officer consulted his device. Challenge rights are recognized under station regulations if both parties agree. The human is not obligated to accept. We do not accept, David said firmly. I accept, Owen said at the same time. Father and son looked at each other. David knelt down to his son's level. Owen, you do not have to do this. Braltok is trying to trap us. He called us weak. He pushed me. And now he wants to hurt Scrapper to save his pride. Owen's voice remained calm but determined. Scrapper can handle it. The Horvathi breed war beasts. They are trained killers. Scrapper is a honey badger. Owen said it like that explained everything. David studied his son's face for a long moment. Then he looked at Scrapper, who met his gaze with dark, fearless eyes. The farmer had lived on Earth. He knew what those eyes meant. He sighed. If we do this, we set the terms. Braltok showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. Agreed. The challenge will take place in the station arena in 2 days. My beast against yours. When I win, you will surrender the animal to me. And when Scrapper wins, Owen said quietly, you will apologize to every human on this station for calling us weak. The crowd's murmuring grew louder. Such terms would humiliate the proud Horvathi publicly. Braltok's 4 hands clenched into fists. Agreed, record the terms officially. The security officer did so. As the crowd began to disperse, already spreading news of the challenge across the station, Quillen approached Owen again. I would very much like to study your companion before the challenge, to understand what makes honey badgers unique. Owen looked at Scrapper, who had climbed back into the backpack and was watching everything with alert interest. Scrapper is not unique, Owen said. On Earth, honey badgers are known for one thing above all else. What is that? They are not afraid of anything. Quillen's compound eyes glittered. Then perhaps, the scientist said slowly, the galaxy is about to learn why humanity survived on a world that produced such creatures. Owen smiled for the first time since the confrontation began. Perhaps it is. News of the challenge spread through the galactic network faster than light travel. By evening, half the known species had heard about the human child and his strange Earth animal. Betting pools opened on dozens of worlds. Most odds heavily favored Braltok's war beast. Owen sat in the small apartment his family rented near the colony. Scrapper lay across his lap, already asleep. The honey badger's breathing was steady and calm. Owen stroked the distinctive white stripe that ran across Scrapper's head and back. David sat across from him, worry clear on his face. It is not too late to withdraw from the challenge. We can leave the station tonight. Return to the farm. That would mean running away. That would mean being smart. Braltok's war beasts are bred and trained for arena combat. They are twice Scrapper's size and armored with natural plating. The Horvathi have been perfecting these creatures for thousands of years. Owen continued petting Scrapper. Did I ever tell you about the time Scrapper fought off 3 wild dogs that got into our chicken coop? That is different. Dogs are not war beasts. They were bigger than him. There were 3 of them. Scrapper did not care. He went straight at them. Bit the first one on the nose. When the others attacked from behind, he twisted around so fast they could not get a grip. His skin is loose. Did you know that? When something bites him, he can turn inside his own skin and bite back. David leaned forward. Son, I understand you trust Scrapper. But this is not about wild dogs protecting chickens. This is about your life and his life in front of thousands of spectators. A knock on the door interrupted them. David opened it to find Quillen standing in the hallway. The mantis-like scientist carried a portable computer pad. I apologize for the late visit. May I come in? David stepped aside. Quillen entered and immediately focused on Scrapper, who had woken and was watching the visitor with interest. I have spent the entire day researching Earth fauna, Quillen said. The more I learn, the more remarkable your world becomes. Why? Owen asked. Because Earth is a death world by galactic standards. The classification system ranks planetary danger on a scale of 1 to 10. Earth rates as an 8. Only 2 other known inhabited worlds rank higher. David crossed his arms. We know our world is dangerous. That is why we left. No, I do not think you understand what that means. Quillen's antennae moved excitedly. Most sapient species evolved on worlds rating between 2 and 4. Moderate predators. Manageable weather. Stable ecosystems. Earth has mega-predators in every environment. Your oceans contain creatures that can swallow smaller spacecraft whole. Your jungles hide predators that hunt silently from trees. Your plains have pack hunters with coordinated tactics. What does this have to do with Scrapper? Owen asked. Everything. Quillen activated the computer pad showing images of various Earth animals. Humans survived by being adaptable. You did not have armor like the Horvathi. You did not have venom like the Saltex. You did not have size like the Mogar species. Instead, you learned to think, to plan, to form bonds. The scientist pulled up an image of a honey badger. This species exemplifies Earth's unique evolutionary pressure. Honey badgers are small compared to many Earth predators, but they developed something more valuable than size. They developed absolute fearlessness combined with remarkable defensive capabilities. David sat down, his interest growing. Go on. Honey badger skin is unusually thick and loose. Teeth and claws often cannot penetrate it. When they do, the loose skin allows the badger to twist and counterattack. They have powerful jaws for their size. They can emit a strong scent to deter predators. But most importantly, they possess what Earth researchers call an absence of threat assessment. What does that mean? Owen asked. It means they do not recognize when they should be afraid. A honey badger will attack lions, hyenas, even water buffalo if threatened. They do not calculate odds. They do not retreat. They fight until the threat is eliminated or they physically cannot continue. Quillen looked at Owen directly. Your people call them the most fearless animal on Earth. Multiple scientific studies confirm this. They are also remarkably intelligent, capable of using tools and solving complex problems. You are trying to make us feel better about the challenge, David said. No. I am explaining why the galaxy's betting pools may be premature in their predictions. Braltok's war beast will be larger and armored. It will have been trained in combat techniques, but it will also have been conditioned to recognize when to retreat. War beasts must know when they are defeated or they become useless to their handlers. Quillen pointed at Scrapper, who had climbed down from Owen's lap and was exploring the visitor's equipment with curious sniffs. That creature does not know how to retreat. It will fight with every technique evolution gave it. And Earth's evolution was much harsher than most worlds' evolution. David and Owen exchanged glances. The father saw determination in his son's eyes, the same determination he had seen when Owen spent hours sitting by that cave, waiting for a frightened Kit to trust him. There is something else, Quillen continued. I accessed galactic records of similar challenges. In the past century, there have been 47 arena matches between Horvathi war beasts and other species combat animals. The war beasts won 45 of those matches. And the 2 losses? David asked. Both involve species from Death World classifications. One was a Krillian boarhound from a level 7 world. The other was a Thanix war cat from a level 9 world. Both animals shared one characteristic. They did not recognize defeat. Owen stood and walked to where Scrapper was investigating a table leg. He picked up the honey badger, who immediately relaxed in his arms. Scrapper has another advantage, Owen said quietly. What is that? Quillen asked. Braltalk's beast fights because it was trained to. Scrapper will fight because someone threatened me. That is different. Quillen's antennae went still. You are correct. Motivation matters. A war beast follows commands. A protective companion follows instinct. Instinct from a death world species. David stood and placed a hand on Owen's shoulder. If we are truly doing this, we do it right. Owen, you need rest. Quillen, if you want to help, I need to know everything about Horvathi war beasts. Weaknesses, fighting patterns, anything useful. I will compile everything by morning. Quillen promised. As the scientist left, David looked at his son. You understand we may lose? We will not lose. You cannot be certain. Owen held Scrapper up so they were eye to eye. The honey badger's dark gaze was calm and fearless. Yes, I can. Because Scrapper has never lost anything. Not once, not ever, David wanted to argue. But he remembered stories from Earth. Stories about honey badgers fighting off lions. Honey badgers raiding beehives despite thousands of stings. Honey badgers breaking out of every enclosure humans built. Small creatures that simply refused to accept limitations. Maybe, he thought, the galaxy was about to learn what humanity had known for thousands of years. Never underestimate something that refuses to be afraid. The next morning brought visitors. Word had spread through the human colony about the challenge. 6 other human families lived on Redstone, and all of them came to the apartment. Rebecca, who ran the medical clinic, brought supplies to treat any injuries. Just in case, she said, though her worried expression said more than her words. 2 brothers, farmers like David, offered to help train Scrapper. David politely declined. Scrapper cannot be trained for this. He already knows what he knows. An older woman named Ruth sat with Owen. She had been one of Earth's wildlife rehabilitation specialists before coming to Redstone. Your father told me how you found Scrapper. That was good work. Patient, respectful. The way humans used to approach all of Earth's dangerous animals. Did you work with honey badgers? Owen asked. Ruth smiled. Once, just once. A honey badger that had been injured by a vehicle. We nursed it back to health. When we released it, the creature walked right past 3 security guards who were supposed to keep it contained. It went exactly where it wanted to go. They learned not to try stopping honey badgers after that. She leaned closer. These aliens do not understand Earth. They see a dangerous world and think it made us dangerous. But that is not the whole truth. Earth made us something else. What? Owen asked. Survivors. We learned that size does not matter. Armor does not matter. What matters is refusing to give up. We bonded with wolves who hunted in packs. We rode horses who could run for hours. We trained birds who could see prey from the sky. We did not conquer Earth's animals. We became their partners. Owen looked at Scrapper, who was eating breakfast from a bowl. Is that why other species find us strange? Yes, most aliens come from easier worlds. They see dangerous animals and think only of avoiding them or killing them. Humans see dangerous animals and think about understanding them, about learning from them. Ruth stood to leave. Win or lose tomorrow, you have already shown these aliens something important. You showed them that a human child can walk among them, with one of Earth's most fearless predators as a friend. That is not weakness. That is strength they do not have words for yet. After the other colonists left, Quillen returned with detailed reports. The scientists spread holographic images across the table. A massive reptilian creature appeared in the projection, all teeth and claws and armored scales. This is a shrieker, the specific breed Braltalk uses for arena combat. They average 200 kilograms in weight and 3 meters in length. Natural armor plating covers 70% of their body. Venomous fangs can paralyze prey. Claws are designed to grip and crush. David studied the image. What are the weaknesses? They are bred for dominance displays. In the wild, their ancestors would fight for territory, but battles rarely resulted in death. Once one animal submitted, the other would stop attacking. This behavior remains even in trained war beasts. Scrapper does not know how to submit, Owen said. Exactly. The shrieker will expect its opponent to yield. When that does not happen, it may become confused. Quillen changed the holographic image to show the shrieker's anatomy. The armor plating has gaps at the joints. The eyes are vulnerable. The throat beneath the jaw has thinner scaling. These are standard weak points that most predators instinctively protect. But if the shrieker is trained, it will protect those areas, David observed. Yes, which means your companion will need to be faster and more unpredictable than the shrieker's trainers prepared it for. Owen watched Scrapper finish eating and begin exploring the apartment. The honey badger moved with purpose, investigating everything, fearless of new objects or spaces. When Scrapper encountered a closed door, he did not wait for help. Instead, he stood on his back legs and worked at the handle until the door opened. How smart are honey badgers? Quillen asked, watching the same thing. Smart enough to escape from anything humans try to contain them in, Owen answered. There are stories from Earth zoos. Honey badgers that would use tools, stack objects to climb walls, learn to open complex locks. One honey badger figured out how to rake up leaves to climb over a wall, then taught that trick to others. Tool use combined with fearlessness and defensive capabilities. Quillen's antennae moved rapidly. That combination is rare in the galactic record. David's communication device buzzed. He checked the message and frowned. The arena has been moved to the main stadium. They are expecting over 10,000 spectators in person. Millions more will watch via broadcast. That is a lot of pressure, Quillen observed. Owen does not feel pressure the way others do, David said, watching his son play with Scrapper on the floor. He is like Scrapper in that way. He does not overthink. He simply does what needs doing. The day passed quietly. Owen spent most of it with Scrapper, not training, just being together. They walked through the colony. They played simple games. They rested in comfortable silence. Other colonists watched them pass, some offering words of encouragement, others just nodding respect. As evening approached, they returned to the apartment. Owen prepared Scrapper's dinner while David reviewed Quillen's research one more time. There is no strategy for this, David finally admitted. No clever plan. It comes down to what Scrapper is versus what the Shrieker is. I know, Owen said simply. You are not afraid? Owen thought about the question. When I found Scrapper in that cave, he was afraid. His mother was dead. He was alone. But he still came to me eventually. Not because he stopped being afraid. Because he decided I was worth trusting. He picked up Scrapper, who nuzzled against his neck. Tomorrow Scrapper will be in that arena. He might get hurt. But he will not run away. Not because he is too stupid to be afraid. Because he knows I am watching. And he trusts me to trust him. David felt his throat tighten. His son was 10 years old but spoke with the wisdom of someone much older. Earth did that to people, made them grow up understanding that life was precious and dangerous and beautiful all at once. Get some sleep, David said quietly. Tomorrow we show the galaxy what Earth is really about. Owen nodded and carried Scrapper to his room. Through the door, David heard his son talking softly to the honey badger, explaining what would happen, promising to be there, thanking Scrapper for being brave. David sat alone in the dark apartment and thought about Ruth's words. Survivors. That was what humans were. Not because they were the biggest or the strongest or the most heavily armed, because they befriended creatures that did not know how to quit. And tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that lesson firsthand. The stadium hummed with thousands of voices speaking in hundreds of languages. Owen stood in the preparation area beneath the main arena floor. Through the ceiling, he could hear the crowd's excitement. Scrapper sat calmly beside him, unbothered by the noise. David knelt down to his son's level. Last chance to walk away. We are not walking away. A door opened and Quillen entered along with Ruth and Rebecca. Behind them came other human colonists. They formed a circle around Owen, each placing a hand on his shoulder. We stand with you, Ruth said. All of us. Win or lose, you represent humanity today. Show them what we are. Owen nodded, suddenly feeling the weight of what was happening. This was no longer just about defending himself or protecting Scrapper. Somehow it had become about every human in the galaxy who had ever been called weak or soft or fragile. An announcement echoed through the preparation area in the common galactic language. Competitors to the arena floor in 5 minutes. Across the hallway another door opened. Braltok emerged, and behind him came the Shrieker on a heavy chain. The war beast was massive, easily 3 times Scrapper's size. Its scales were dark green and black, overlapping like armor plates. Yellow eyes scanned the room with predatory intelligence. When it saw Scrapper, it released a hissing sound that made the walls vibrate. Scrapper looked at the Shrieker with mild interest, then went back to grooming his paws. Braltok's forearms crossed over his chest. Your creature does not even recognize danger. This will be over quickly. Maybe, Owen said quietly, but not the way you think. The Horvathi laughed and returned to his preparation area. The Shrieker's eyes never left Scrapper. but the honey badger seemed completely unconcerned. David squeezed Owen's shoulder. Remember, you can call him back anytime. If it gets too dangerous, if he is hurt too badly, you call him back. Do you understand? I understand. Promise me. Owen looked at his father. I promise. But Dad, Scrapper will not stop unless I tell him to. That is just who he is. Another announcement. Competitors to the arena floor now. The floor above them split open. Light poured down. The crowd's roar became deafening. Owen picked up Scrapper and stepped onto the rising platform. David and the other colonists watched from below as Owen ascended toward the arena. The stadium was enormous. Seats rose in circles around a sand-covered fighting area. Every seat was filled. Giant viewing screens showed Owen's face to the crowd. Some aliens cheered. Others made sounds Owen did not recognize. Gambling displays showed odds that still heavily favored the Shrieker. On the opposite side, Braltok rose on his own platform with the Shrieker beside him. The war beast pulled against its chain, eager to fight. A Pinnoth official stood at the center of the arena. His voice was amplified to reach every spectator. We are gathered for a formal challenge. The terms have been agreed and recorded. The human's companion against the Horvathi's war beast. Combat continues until one animal yields or cannot continue. Are both parties ready? Ready, Braltok called out, releasing the Shrieker's chain. Owen set Scrapper on the sand. The honey badger looked up at him with dark, calm eyes. Ready, Owen said, his voice steady. The official stepped back. Begin. The Shrieker charged immediately. It moved with frightening speed for something so large. Sand kicked up behind its claws. The crowd gasped at its aggressive opening move. Scrapper did not run. Instead, he charged directly at the Shrieker. The two animals met in the center of the arena. The Shrieker's jaws opened wide, aiming to clamp down on the smaller creature. At the last instant, Scrapper dodged left and lunged at the Shrieker's front leg. His teeth found the gap between armor plates at the joint. The Shrieker roared and tried to shake him off. Scrapper held on. His claws dug into the Shrieker's leg for additional grip. The war beast slammed its leg down into the sand repeatedly, trying to crush the honey badger. But Scrapper's loose skin absorbed the impacts, and he adjusted his position with each slam. The Shrieker tried a different approach. It rolled its body, attempting to trap Scrapper beneath its weight. The honey badger released and scurried away before the massive body could pin him. A normal animal would have retreated to reassess. Scrapper immediately attacked again, this time going for the Shrieker's back leg. The crowd's noise reached a new level. This was not the quick domination they had expected. Impossible, Braltok muttered, watching from his platform. The Shrieker should have ended this already. Owen stood perfectly still, watching. His hands were clenched at his sides, but his face remained calm. Trust. That was all this required. Trust that Scrapper knew what to do. The Shrieker finally landed a direct hit. Its claws raked across Scrapper's side, drawing blood. The honey badger tumbled across the sand. Several spectators made sounds of sympathy. Scrapper stood up, shook himself once, and attacked again. The pattern continued. The Shrieker was bigger, stronger, better armed. But Scrapper was faster, more determined, and completely unafraid. Every time the war beast thought it had won, the honey badger came back. Every time the Shrieker tried to dominate, Scrapper found a new weak point to attack. Minutes passed. Both animals were bleeding now. The Shrieker's movements became more desperate. It had been trained to fight opponents who would eventually submit. But Scrapper did not know that word. Every time he was knocked down, he got back up. Every time he was injured, he attacked harder. The honey badger's teeth found the Shrieker's throat gap. Not deep enough to kill, but enough to cause serious pain. The war beast pulled back, confusion evident in its eyes. This was not how fights worked. Opponents were supposed to yield. Scrapper pressed the advantage. He went for the eyes. The Shrieker reared back, trying to protect its face. Scrapper darted underneath and bit at the soft scales of the belly. The war beast tried to crush him, but the honey badger's loose skin saved him again. 15 minutes into the fight, something changed. The Shrieker stopped attacking. It backed away from Scrapper, breathing heavily. Blood dripped from multiple wounds. Its yellow eyes watched the honey badger with something that looked like fear. Scrapper advanced. The Shrieker retreated further. No, Braltok shouted from his platform. Attack! Finish it! But the Shrieker would not attack. It had been bred and trained for thousands of generations to recognize when a fight was lost. Every instinct told it that this small creature would not stop. would never stop. Not until one of them was dead. The war beast turned and ran to Braltok's platform, hiding behind its master. The crowd fell silent. Then a single voice began to cheer. Then another. Within seconds, thousands of spectators were making sounds of amazement and celebration. The Pinith official approached Owen. The Horvathi's war beast has yielded. The victory goes to the human. Owen knelt in the sand. Scrapper limped over to him, blood matting his fur but eyes still bright and fearless. Owen scooped him up gently. "Good boy," he whispered. "Very good boy." The crowd's roar shook the stadium. On every viewing screen across every broadcasting system, billions of beings watched a small human child hold an even smaller Earth creature that had just defeated one of the galaxy's most feared war beasts. Braltok stood frozen on his platform, staring at his shrieker in disbelief. Owen looked across the arena at him and said nothing. He did not need to. The galaxy had just learned a lesson it would not forget. Rebecca worked quickly in the medical area beneath the stadium. Scrapper lay on the examination table, still calm despite his injuries. The honey badger's loose skin had prevented most serious damage, but he had several deep cuts that needed treatment. "He should be in much worse condition," Rebecca said as she cleaned the wounds. "Any other animal this size would be dead or dying." Owen stood beside the table, one hand resting gently on Scrapper's head. "He is tough. Tough does not begin to describe it." Rebecca applied healing gel designed for Earth animals. "His pain tolerance is off any chart I know. And look at this." She carefully lifted a section of Scrapper's skin. "See how it moves independently from the muscle? This is what saved him from the worst injuries. Claws and teeth could not get proper purchase." David watched from the doorway as more visitors arrived. Quillen entered first, antennae moving excitedly. Behind the scientist came dozens of other aliens. Some Owen recognized from the trading post. Others were new faces from different species. "May we come in?" Quillen asked. Many beings wished to understand what they witnessed. Owen nodded. The aliens filed in, maintaining a respectful distance from the examination table. All eyes focused on Scrapper, who had fallen asleep under Rebecca's gentle care. "I have been studying Earth fauna for 2 days," Quillen began, speaking to the gathered crowd. "I thought I understood the classification of death worlds. I was wrong. Earth did not just produce dangerous predators. It produced something more remarkable. It produced creatures that refused to accept defeat. A 4-armed alien that resembled a bear stepped forward, but the shrieker was bigger, stronger, better armed. By all logic, it should have won easily." "Logic does not account for will," Quillen replied. "The shrieker fought because it was trained to fight. The honey badger fought because something threatened its companion. Those are not the same motivation." Ruth had arrived during the conversation. She moved to stand beside Owen. "Humans learned to survive on Earth by understanding this difference. We did not try to be the biggest predators. We became the smartest survivors. And we learned that the most dangerous creatures are not always the largest ones. Sometimes they are the ones that refuse to quit." The bear-like alien looked at Owen. "You are very young. How did you know your companion would win?" "I did not know," Owen admitted. "But I trusted him. Scrapper has never let me down. Not once." "This trust," another alien asked. "How do humans develop it with dangerous animals?" David stepped forward to answer. "We do not dominate Earth's creatures. We respect them. We learn their ways. We give them reason to trust us first." Owen spent weeks earning Scrapper's friendship.
He did not capture him.
He did not train him. He simply showed Scrapper that he was worth trusting. And now, Ruth added, that trust went both ways. Scrapper trusted that Owen would not put him in danger without reason. Owen trusted that Scrapper would do what needed doing. Quillen pulled up data on a portable screen. "I have been monitoring galactic communications. The video of this match has already reached 200 star systems. Social response is unprecedented. Many species are reevaluating their understanding of humans and Earth." "Why?" Owen asked. "It was just one fight." "No," Quillen said gently. "It was a demonstration. For years, other species have looked at humans and seen weakness. Small bodies. No natural armor or weapons. From gentle worlds, they assume you are gentle. But today, the galaxy saw the truth. They saw that humans walk calmly beside one of Earth's most fearless predators. They saw a child trust his life to a creature that most species would call a monster." The bear-like alien spoke again. "On my world, we have a saying. To understand a people, look at what they befriend. What does it say about humans that they befriend honey badgers? Ruth smiled. It says we understand that courage comes in all sizes, that fear can be overcome, that the bonds we forge through mutual respect are stronger than any bonds forged through dominance. A commotion at the door drew everyone's attention. The crowd parted. Breltok entered, moving slowly. His injuries had been treated, but his posture showed defeat more clearly than his wounds. The room fell silent. Owen straightened but did not move away from Scrapper. Breltok stopped a respectful distance away. All four of his arms hung at his sides. I have come to honor the terms of our challenge. The Pinnoth official who had overseen the match entered behind him, carrying a recording device. This apology will be broadcast on all official channels. Breltok looked directly at Owen. I called you weak. I called all humans weak. I judged your species based on appearance and size. I was wrong. He paused, and the words seemed to cause him physical pain. Your companion defeated my war beast fairly. No tricks, no deception, simply will and courage that my shrieker could not match. He turned to address the other aliens in the room. Let all species know. Humans are not weak. They are survivors from a world that would break most of us. They form bonds with creatures that we would fear to approach. And they do so not through domination, but through respect. Breltok faced Owen again. I apologize for my arrogance. I apologize for pushing you. And I apologize for underestimating both you and your companion. It will not happen again. The Horvathi bowed, a gesture of deep respect in his culture. Then he turned and left the room. The crowd remained silent until he was gone. Quillen broke the silence. That apology is already transmitting across the galactic network. Within hours, every species will hear it. Owen did not care about galactic networks or broadcasts. He only cared that Scrapper was safe and healing. Rebecca finished her treatment and carefully wrapped the honey badger in a soft blanket. He needs rest, she said, but he will be fine. Everything will heal. Owen picked up Scrapper, blanket and all. The honey badger opened one eye, looked at Owen, and went back to sleep. The next 3 days saw incredible changes. Ships arrived at Redstone Colony from across the galaxy. Diplomats, scientists, journalists, all wanting to meet the humans and learn more about Earth. Trade agreements were offered. Partnership proposals were submitted. Species that had never considered humans worthy of attention now competed for human cooperation. David found himself negotiating contracts he never imagined possible. Other colonies requested human advisors for dangerous world settlements. Research institutions offered funding to study Earth fauna. Military organizations wanted to understand human methods of animal partnership. Through it all, Owen went about his normal life. He helped his father on the farm. He played with Scrapper, who recovered quickly from his injuries. He studied his lessons and did his chores. Quillen visited regularly, documenting everything. You understand what you have done? The scientist asked one afternoon. Owen was teaching Scrapper a new game with a ball. We won a challenge. You changed how the galaxy sees humanity. Before this, humans were curiosities. Interesting, but not particularly important. Now you are recognized as a species that survived one of the harshest worlds in known space. A species that forms bonds with creatures other species fear. We just did what felt right, Owen said simply. Scrapper needed help. I helped him. He needed to defend me. He defended me. That is what friends do. Quillen's antennae moved in a pattern Owen had learned meant deep thought. Perhaps that is the real lesson. Most species complicate everything with hierarchy and dominance. Humans understand something simpler: friendship, trust, respect. Owen threw the ball and Scrapper chased it enthusiastically, his injuries already forgotten. I think you are thinking too hard about this. Perhaps, Quillen admitted. But the galaxy has noticed humans now. That will not change. 3 months later, the Galactic Council formally invited humanity to join as a full member species. The invitation specifically mentioned the Redstone incident as evidence of human value and capability. David read the invitation to his family over dinner. They want us to send representatives. They want human input on policies regarding dangerous world colonization and animal partnerships. Will you go? Owen asked. They want you to go, David corrected. You and Scrapper. As examples of what humanity represents. Owen looked at Scrapper, who was begging for scraps under the table. I would rather stay here. This is home, I know. But sometimes being human means showing others what we are. Not for glory. Not for fame. But so they understand that being small does not mean being weak, and being gentle does not mean being helpless. Owen thought about it. He thought about Braltalk's arrogance and how it had crumbled. He thought about the other species who still did not understand Earth or humans. He thought about honey badgers and the lesson they taught anyone who underestimated them. "Okay," he finally said, "but only if Scrapper wants to go." They all looked at the honey badger. Scrapper looked back with dark, fearless eyes. Then he returned to begging for food, completely unbothered by the decisions of empires. David laughed. "I think that is a yes." And so Owen and Scrapper prepared for their journey to the Galactic Council, not as warriors or heroes, simply as a boy and his friend. A human and a honey badger, two small creatures from a dangerous world who had shown the galaxy that courage and trust could overcome any challenge. The universe was vast and filled with powerful species, but now they all knew one simple truth: never underestimate someone who refuses to be afraid, and never threaten a human child protected by Earth's most fearless creature.